and welcome back to Finally Game Music. This is the 138th episode, and I am your host, Kristoffer Schenström, and the thematic of this week is Warpzone, and this is the 5th edition of the Warpzone thematic. And basically, when it comes down to the Warpzones, I'm not that prepared. I've only picked tracks usually from the games I've recently been playing, because it was time for another Warpzone this time, because this week was really freaking packed for me. So I haven't been able to do a lot of research. I only scratched the earth of these composers this week, and I'm mostly gonna talk more about what I think about the music and think about the game. So it's going to be a little more laid back type of episode. But yeah, I've picked two tracks from two different games I've been playing recently, and both of these games I have been playing on my stream as well. And if you guys are or have been visiting my streams while I was playing these, you know a little bit what I'm already going to say about these games, most likely. But then we're going to start with a cuter track this week, so we're starting out with Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker Plucky Pass Beginnings. And that was a bite-sized bit from Plucky Pass Beginnings from Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. And the composers here for this soundtracks were the Japanese Naoto Kubo and Mahito Yokota. And the game was, of course, by many of you who might have guessed already because of Captain Toad, was developed by the Japanese company Nintendo, and specifically it's the department of Nintendo EAD. Captain Toad was initially released worldwide for the Nintendo Wii U by the end of the year in 2014. So it has a little bit like, in Japan it released in November, and the rest of the world it released in December, for example. The game was also later ported to the Nintendo 3DS and the Nintendo Switch back in 2018. And when it comes to this game, I really do enjoy the music for this one. The soundtrack is absolutely stunning. It has far and wide when it comes to the soundtrack itself, and this specific one, the Plucky Pass Beginnings, comes quite early within the game. It actually comes from the first episode of the game, and within this game you will be playing like small cute dioramas trying to solve puzzles with Captain Toad. So you can't jump around and stuff like that, you can only walk around, and you can also pick stuff up. And sometimes there are enemies trying to kind of chase you, and some other times they're trying to toss something at you or throw something at you. And sometimes there's just puzzling going on, and mostly you will be doing some sort of puzzling. So when it comes to this game, there's not that much of enemy kind of interactions and stuff like that. You're basically trying to solve things with moving platforms and such. There are also boss fights within this game, which are pretty interesting as well, but mostly focused around like platforming and moving around there, and also solving puzzles. But they always utilize and kind of introduce new mechanics in a quite safe space, and then you get to learn. You need to kind of rework them and kind of get some kind of out-of-the-box solution sometimes, and then in the end you get the more hardcore kind of version of it, trying to solve the puzzles. But you always feel in control, I would say, within the Captain Toad game. And when you completed the first chapter, you'll get the second chapter and a third chapter. I have no idea how many chapters there are in this game. I'm currently in the third one. Sorry, it's not chapters, it's called episodes, sorry. So in the first episode, you're playing as Captain Toad, and in the second chapter, you're actually going to play as Toadette. And I really love and adore this kind of duo, and they're super cute together. It's super fun to play both Captain Toad and to play as Toadette. There are some difference between the different puzzling, but that's mostly because the game just wants to advance and become a little bit harder in solving different puzzles. And when it comes to the story of this game, it's also it's very simple. In the beginning, Toadette gets kidnapped by this giant bird, and in the second chapter, it's Captain Toad who gets kidnapped by this giant bird, and they basically just trying to go and get each other and help each other out. And while doing so, they are also collecting treasures, hence the name Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. So they're going around collecting stars and diamonds primarily, but you can also collect coins that are quite iconic for the Mario series. And just like any other Mario and Nintendo game when it comes to this genre of platforming and solving, and well, when it comes to Mario basically, always when you collect 100 coins, you're always getting the one classic ups. And if you run out of lives, you basically get a game over, which doesn't really do that much, so you can just continue forth anyway. So, but still, it's really fun, it's neat, and it's super cute, and the colors are so vibrant and luster. I really enjoy this one. I've been playing this game a couple of times on the stream, and I feel it's time now for me to shut up about this game, and let's enjoy one of my favorite tracks from Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. And the song is Briny Bowl Swimming Hole. Briny Bowl Swimming Hole. I just love how they kind of trying to make a good twist on it and try to make a funny one here. But yeah, that was the last song from the Captain Toad Treasure Tracker we're going to play today, because, well, I took 2 tracks from each of the 2 games that I'm going to talk about today, because just playing 2 tracks just felt pretty low, and, well, we kind of can show a little bit about the game. And yeah, Captain Toad was first out, and it was a blast just talking a little bit about it. And because I'm going to transcend over to the next game, it just felt wrong kind of going from that one into the next song without actually introducing the song before going into it. So let me just do some commercial here of well, if you're interested, because I have played both of these games on my stream, and I'm streaming on Twitch, so if you are interested in following me, I'm usually talking about the games themselves, what I think about them, and most of all, since I am working with games myself, it's actually really fun talking and interacting with my listeners and viewers on Twitch about the game itself. What do I like with them? What do I not like with them? And so forth and so on. I really do enjoy doing that. So if you are interested in following me over on Twitch, just go for Chris X Swee and you'll find me there. And yeah, that is the small little commercial of me going on about my stream. And I just try to be funny. Well, I try my best. It's not too serious, laid back. Just enjoy the games together. But with that said, we're going to talk about the game I just recently completed, and that game is Shadow Warrior. And I'm going to talk about a little bit more about it right after the first song. So we're starting out Shadow Warrior with the song Risen from The Ashes. And that was the introductory song for the Shadow of the Warrior part of this podcast. So this was Risen from the Ashes. And looking at the soundtrack here, this soundtrack was composed by the Polish crew of Adam... And I'm going to botch this, just saying it plainly right now, because... Damn, just look these names up and try to spell them out yourself. That's the challenge of the week, but let's go for it now. So the first one out is Adam Skorupa. We have Marek Galash, and after that we have Mikhail Sielecki, and then we have the hardest one of them all. So it's like I'll try to do the best out of it here. It's Krzysztof Wierzykiewicz. Something like that. I'm trying my best here, but when we have Polish guys that I can't make anything out of, it's like Krzysztof, but I don't know if that is actually how you're spelling out his first name there, and I have no idea about the last name. There's so many Z's and stuff going on, so the pronunciation, I'm so sorry if you're listening to this. But the game, it is actually a reboot. I was so freaking wrong this morning when I completed this one. Not this morning, but kind of this morning, because I completed it in the middle of the night. But anyway, I actually thought this was a remake, but this is actually a reboot of the original Shadow Warrior game that was released by the American studio 3D Realms. 3D Realms has still some edge to it, or maybe they are still the IP owners. I'm a little bit unsure here because I didn't do too much research. I would have done way more if I just had more time. But looking at it, this time, this game was developed by the Polish studio Flying Wild Hog. And looking at the release date here, it was the 26th of September back in 2013, and this was released for PC worldwide. And then the game was also ported to both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and this happened in 2014 with a final release for both Mac and Linux back in 2015. Looking at this game, this is a first-person shooter game filled with just hacking and slashing demons, basically. You play as the character Lo Wang, and you're going around... Oh, wait. Back this up. You're starting out by... You are going to actually buy a sword from a person, but that goes awry. And you're basically trying through 70 chapters with gun blazing, sword slashing, and a lot of killing. You're going to try and get these swords back. And this game is way longer than I anticipated, but I had so much fun with this one. Looking at what you're going on and the arsenal you have within this game, you got pistols, and everything is also upgradable. So let's just start there. You have pistol, SMGs, shotgun, you have crossbows, rocket launchers, flamethrowers. It's just like a crazy amount of weaponry in this game, but still, when it came to this game, one of my favorite weapons was the main weapon that you're actually starting out with, which is the sword. And the sword is freaking amazing, together with all the different kind of power-ups you can get within this game. You can find crystals, which basically upgrades your character with more defined like skills that you can utilize. You can get an armor, you can push and shove enemies, and so on. But you can also, from the enemies you are killing, you are getting karma, and this karma you can utilize to upgrade more, more like perks, stuff that are more passively attached to your character, such as more HP, you get more loot, and you can heal yourself further, and so on. So these are more perks that kind of just give smaller bonuses. And then, as I said, you can upgrade each and every weapon. Every weapon has 3 upgrades, and these cost money. And all of these, the money part, you just go around the levels and just collect a lot of cash while killing everything as fast as possible, and most gruesome way you can come up with. You will get bonus points for each encounter, and those give also bonus karma, so you can upgrade your skills. And for each scene, you also get 1 key crystal that is actually usually hidden somewhere. Sometimes they are just plopping up in front of you, but sometimes you need to search for them. But there are at least 1 crystal within each chapter or level. Each chapter usually takes around 30 minutes, so it's not too long. You also have save points throughout the game, so you have checkpoints, and it doesn't really matter if you die too much. It don't matter at all. Just have fun, go wild with this game. And the reason why I actually picked this one up now, first of all, I heard people talk about it, saying it's fun, but yeah, just fun doesn't really do it for me. But watching the game trailer or teaser for the 3rd installation of this game, Shadow Warrior 3, I got super interested. It looks so freaking great. So yeah, I'll definitely play through the 1st and the 2nd game before continuing with the 3rd one. And after playing the 1st game now, I am impressed. For a game that released back in 2013, it has humor, awesome weaponry, you even have the bonus and skills you can utilize with the sword. I was utterly amazed. I was very impressed with everything, and I definitely recommend everybody to play this game. And yeah, the humor is freaking low, just like the name of Lo Wang, just saying. So enjoy some really bad jokes from here and there within this game as well. And I think that's most likely why I really enjoy this game as well. It doesn't really take itself serious until you actually listen to the soundtrack. And here comes the reason why. Just listening to this first initial song we had for this episode, it is almost like the emotions going through with this song and this specific track. I just love it. It almost kind of almost tends over to almost go to like a macabre or almost like a gruesome kind of place, especially when you're listening to the different tunes that comes out from the melody within this one. And I really like the choices they did with the different instruments as well. And looking throughout the whole soundtrack for this one as well, they usually are more to the upbeat part, but they really come in with these more emotional songs, and it really does kind of... It almost feels like black and white. It comes with a large contrast from going from one place to another. And having this, like, easily humorous story, it really breaks apart pretty well and really, really nice. I would say I'm having more fun playing the game than listening to the soundtrack specifically. But there are more emotions coming out just listening to this soundtrack by itself and not playing the game. And I think it has to do with all these jokes and all the fast-paced killing. It's not an emotional game, so to speak. And with that said, I think we should head in for the last track of the week. And we're going, yet again, it's Shadow Warrior, but we're going to listen to The Modern Samurai. The Modern Samurai from Shadow Warrior from 2013. And yeah, this one is the more upbeat one. It kind of comes in with an attitude, but at the same time, these flutes that I'm really enjoying, and that kind of sets the theme for this game as well, because when it comes to Shadow Warrior, this game is set in a modern, still samurai-ish kind of era. People are still running around with swords and such, but they also walk around with these weapons as well. And yeah, within this game they also have a lot of different references that I really did enjoy, both to the older 3D Realms games, but also for some reason I actually found more Monty Python references. And I don't know if you guys are following me on any of my other social media, such as Instagram and, or Twitter, then you might have noticed the picture, but there are an amazing reference to Monty Python within this game, and I really did enjoy it. When that happened, I was like stunned for 5 minutes. I didn't understand it at first. I was like, this is amazing. This is so amazing. First of all, it wasn't not long ago when we actually talked about references within the Bard's Tale for Monty Python, and then I just played this game and then got another Monty Python. Is everybody referencing? How many more games are there out there that are actually referenced to anything with Monty Python? I have no freaking idea, but I freaking love it. And I think I'm biased to that because I do really love and enjoy Monty Python. Anywho, so when it came to Shadow Warrior, it is set in a Japanese modern time, but has this samurai feeling and ethics over it. So the whole game is surrounding Japanese culture. They are visiting Osaka and stuff like that. So yeah, and you will also kind of go into different other kind of zones and spaces, and I don't want to spoil anything there, so I'll just leave you guys at that. But yeah, those are the 2 games I've actually played recently. There are more games that I have played, but I have played music from these as well before. Some of them are Heroes of the Storm, for example, Apex Legends for the second. But yeah, most of the games that I've been playing more recently are games that I have been playing regularly for quite some time. But yeah, I'm getting back into playing more new, unique experiences. For example, I'm going to get into Shadow Warrior 2 for the next game, but there are more games that I'm going to step into. For example, when I'm streaming, I'm going to pick up more games for my Wii U. I'm just preparing everything so I can get that thing going as well. But yeah, I'm still going to renovate my apartment, and I hope when everything there is done, I can start getting furniture and everything else so I can set up my whole all my systems. I got like 9 systems just waiting to get picked up and put into something so I can start playing them all again. I really miss just taking out any console that I'm just eager to play at the moment. There are so many games I just want to pick up. I can't just take one of them on top of my head. I just need to see all my games again. That's basically what I'm saying. But yeah, thank you so much everybody for joining in for this kind of special episode with a Warpzone thematic again. And I really hope you enjoyed it. But other episodes of Finally Game Music, you'll find those on our homepage, Videospelsklubben.se, Spotify, or in your closest podcast app. Feel free to give a follow or comment on one of our social medias. And there's either Facebook or Instagram. And just search for Finally Game Music and you'll find us there. And just getting more followers help us to spread out the love to more people. So thank you so much if you're already following. And if you're suggesting the podcast to anybody else as well. Just thank you so much. And if you would like to hear your name within one of these episodes, feel free to request a song for an upcoming episode by commenting on any of the social medias or through Discord. You can also support this podcast for future content and quality updates, but also future composers by becoming a Patreon member. And just go over to Patreon and just search yet again for Finally Game Music and you'll find that one. Or use our dynamic link. You will also find a link through that one. And the current awesome backers that we have today is Mikael Sjöberg, Andreas Nilsson, and Daniel Onemark. Thank you so much for being a part and supporting this podcast. And links where you can either buy or support the composers behind the music that we had today, they're going to be found in the main post of Videospelsklubben.se. And the next episode, the thematic of that one, was actually going to be on this week's episode, but due to the fact that I didn't have any time because I was super busy this week, I moved it 1 week. So we're going to talk about games that are made with claymation. There are a couple of ones, and I mainly got interested in going and looking into this thematic because I know like 1 or 2 PC games, and then there's like 4 or 5 Super Nintendo games. So I'm wondering how many other type of claymation games do we have out there for these all different consoles. Of course, there's going to be more modern ones as well, but do we have any claymation games for an Xbox One or PlayStation 4 type of game? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to actually look into this, and I will try not to pick the most obvious ones, even though I really love the Neverhood for PC, because that freaking soundtrack sounds like a drunk man playing banjo and having a great fucking time. But with that said, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Finally Game Music, and everybody, do take care, and see you all guys next time.